What's up, guys?
On this week's show,
All That's Back
Zombie Deer.
and Let It Go again
All that and more on this episode
of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared. And with me are my co-hosts, Benwah.
I got a new headset. I love Five Below.
And DJ Melly Mel.
Hey!
Before we get started, kids, I want to let you know, if you enjoy the show, tell some friends about us. Share us on your social media, whatever you choose to do. You know that you are helping us let others know about the best damn podcast they've probably never heard of. Now, if you want to talk to us, the show is on Twitter at Giant Leap, the number 4 Geeks. You can get a hold of our resident DJ Melly Mel at Froggy Beaver, and Benwah is at Benwah Gaming. That's BENWAH Gaming. Now, before we get started, what you been doing?
Oh, you know, traveling cross country.
Oh, you had an adventure this week.
Adventure? Yeah.
And a half.
5,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
5,000. 5 3 zeros.
Did you walk 5,000 more?
Oh, God.
Oh.
No, I drove 5,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
All the way to Seattle, Washington, and back. We left Monday morning. We got back Sunday night. So, an entire week. And we hit snowstorms on the side of a mountain with no railing and big truckers passing me in my little tiny car. Let's just say I never want to see mountains ever again. My bucket list never included Montana or Idaho or Washington. And now that I've been to Montana, Idaho, and Washington, still not on the bucket list.
She's like, it ain't all that. Isn't one of them places, or no, that's Wisconsin, is the cheese.
Wisconsin's the cheese place.
Okay, yeah.
Once we hit Wisconsin, I was golden. I'm like, woohoo, 6 more hours.
Only 6 more
Only
hours.
6 more hours.
Jesus.
When your GPS says 2,497 miles one way, it gets kind of daunting. Because once you've reached your destination, then you have to turn around and it still says 2,497 miles. And you want to die. Like,
those are those times where you wish you could teleport.
Yes, I said that multiple times.
It's like, wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah. I told my grandma, I said, I know you got all kinds of crap in your garage. Go find a teleport machine. She's like, I might have one.
You never know.
It'd be real handy right about now.
Mm-hmm.
So that is all that I've done all week. We traveled out to rescue my sister-in-law and successfully did so. However, come back. T-Money had a tennis tournament this weekend as well.
Oh, nice.
So we made it back to Wisconsin Friday morning at 7:57 for his tennis tournament. His tennis tournament started at 8 Friday morning.
Damn.
And then he played 8 matches.
Damn.
So, needless to say, we were exhausted. I think I slept probably last night alone 15 hours.
I believe it.
I'm so done, and my house is a mess. And the only one that slept and had a great time was the dog. She slept the whole way there, the whole way back, and has slept since.
Oh, shit.
I'm like, you freaking pain in my ass.
Should have made the dog take turns driving.
What about you, Ben? What have you been doing?
Girl Scout cookies came in.
Yes.
I received 4 boxes of Samoas. And I was looking up, like, just for shits, I was looking at the nutritional facts. I know they're not healthy for you.
Not
Sure.
at all.
That's not what I was looking for. But it
Okay.
said serving size 2. And I'm like, who the fuck eats only 2 Samoas?
No.
I eat 2 boxes. That's why I got 4. That's 2 days worth of, I can't say nutrition. Nourishment? No, I don't know. Anyway, I got that, and that made me very happy. One thing that made me happy, one thing that did not make me happy, is that it's been 3 weeks since my tax returns were accepted, and I've yet to receive them. which I'm wondering is due to the IRS being backed up.
I kind of wondered about that.
Probably.
I, like many people, do rely on that return. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping sometime between now and the end of the week, I do receive that money, because I can use that.
Yeah. I just filed mine this morning. Well, I started them last night, and I finished filing them this morning. And as I was filing, before I got to the state tax, it said, your federal return is $38. I was like, yes, that buys dinner. What the hell? The fuck am I going to do with $38?
But you know what, though? It could be better than the other way.
That's true.
You owe them money, because I've been in that situation, and that's not fun.
No.
Yeah, you can replenish some of that gas you used when you were driving all the way to the West Coast.
Not even a dent.
a little bit, since gas is what, like it went up today again. I think it's like $2.50.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think the most that we paid for it on the road was $2.27. It fluctuated between $2.03 and $2.27. So at least we had decent gas prices. Oh, there was one place that was $3.35. And we just didn't get gas there.
Oh, shit.
I was about to say, it's funny we're talking about this, because there's going to be somebody from a different state who hears us bitch about $2.50 and just get livid.
Right.
Yeah, when we hit the edge of Seattle, it was like $3.35, and I'm like, "Ooh, we not getting gas."
No
here.
wonder, it's a suicide capital of the U.S. I mean, who wants to pay those prices? You can't even kill yourself via asphyxiation because you can't afford the gas to inhale the fumes. It's that bad.
You better breathe into a pillow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You better just.
What about you there, Mikey? What's new with you?
As you know, if you've listened to the last few weeks worth of episodes, probably know I have been on this whole. I'm gonna get healthy. 2019 is gonna be the year. I'm like, move over, Zac Efron. I'm gonna be the new cast member in the next Baywatch movie. Okay, it's never going to be to that point. But I have been, working out and trying to eat better and stuff. And I have been embarrassing myself at the gym. Okay, so you won't catch me, hopefully, on one of those, like, gym fail videos. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen one of those, but it's just, like, people at the gym who literally have no idea what they're doing. Like, I saw one where there was a guy. He was an older guy, so I kind of felt bad for him, but the pull down machine for your back. He was on that, but he had his feet like bracing against the machine, and he was like pulling back, like he wasn't even sitting in the chair. It was almost like he was trying to like pull the ceiling down, and I was like, oh my god. And the weight was so heavy that it was pulling him back up every time he would pull down. It was hilarious.
God, that's a way to hurt yourself.
Yeah. I'm not quite that bad, but there are some things that I had not had access to a gym and certain exercise machines before.
Sure.
So it was definitely a learning curve, but the worst thing that I've done recently, a few days ago, I was at the gym and I was really going all out. I'm sweating and grunting and breathing and sore and in pain. And there was one point where I was doing tricep exercises on the cable machine. And I was doing it from the bottom up, so I had to pull up behind myself. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, you have to grab the cables and then turn around and hold them behind yourself and then pull up like this. So I know you can't see this, listeners, I'm sorry, but you get the idea. But what the problem was is that when I went to do my last set of the day, I'm like pretty much done. There's some people that have already come in the gym. It's like some girls that are in there. It's some dude that's been like on the bench press machine for like 20 fucking minutes and shit. And I'm just like, so I more experienced people and people you don't want to embarrass yourself in front of.
Sure.
As I'm pulling the cables up and going to turn to bring them behind my head, totally fucking farted. In front of all these people.
Not even a silent one,
no,
was it?
And I had my headphones on, and they were pretty loud, so I couldn't hear it, but I could feel my butt cheeks flap.
Oh, no.
So I assume it was loud, and I was just like, oh, God, just don't make eye contact with nobody. Just hurry up and rep this shit out and get the fuck out of here.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, funny. I did the walk of shame out of the gym after that. And I debated on canceling my membership and not going back again.
Just go back in the middle of the night where you can never see anybody.
Right.
No, people fart. People at worst, like, shit themselves
Oh,
or
yeah.
vomit.
Yeah.
Farting's not that big of a deal.
I would say, I for real thought you was going to say that you split your pants or something.
No, close.
That happens too.
Yeah, close. That happens. Like Ben said, people shitting, puking. I've even seen one where a dude was trying to do a squat and tore a hernia and
Oh
fucking
my
intestines
God.
fell out his ass. It was like horrible. But anyway.
Ooh.
Yeah,
don't
it
do that.
was rough. Yeah, that's like the dark side of YouTube. Like,
Let's keep testicles intact here.
yeah, right. But yeah, so yeah, that's my thing. So I guess if there's a moral to this story, kids, it's make sure you take Gas X before you go to the gym. Get all that out. Or don't eat like an hour before you go to the gym. Do that after, and then go on an empty stomach, and maybe it won't be so bad. But yeah.
I don't know. Some people just got the crazy gas, like, no matter what they eat or don't eat.
Yeah, and I haven't been eating fast food in the last few months, really.
That's
but
good.
I did notice when I was much more gassier eating fast food than not.
Well,
I don't know if
sure.
it's beef or if it's the processed beef or
Probably
what, but
the processing.
yeah, it just gives me like hellified gas, like burping, ass, the whole thing. Like I almost feel like those Looney Tunes cartoons where the steam comes out of their ears and shit. I'm just like full of gas constantly.
Yeah.
Did you say go on an empty stomach?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
not a good
don't do
idea,
that.
dude.
Don't do that.
You're gonna
Don't
puke.
do that.
Yeah, probably. It's fine.
Don't
though.
like
You gotta
stuff
be
yourself
hardcore.
with the gill, but eat a protein bar. Get something in your system before you actually start to,
No, you gotta go
strain
hardcore.
yourself.
You just you don't eat. You
Hardcore.
puke twice before you go in. You don't
I'm
drink
done.
water. You
I'm
just
done with
sweat
y'all.
until you're dehydrated.
No.
So, like, so bulimia, anorexia, what are we advocating right now?
Sounds
Hey,
like
I just
all
want
of
to
the
know so I
above.
can be on board.
Look, summer is coming, and you got to get right. So you got to go extreme.
No.
Who the fuck needs to sew off their muscles? Let me see them rib cage.
I would say
Right.
Rib cages. There we
every
go.
body is a beach body and a bikini body. Insert body into bikini, go to beach, win.
That's fair. Anyway, moving on.
Thin mints are the best. Fucking fight me.
So, I never thought that I would utter these words in my life,
Here we go.
but I need to go back and watch Frozen.
You know, I was actually thinking the same thing. However, I remember seeing chunks of Frozen.
Mhm.
So it like I remember bits and pieces because I was babysitting at the time when Frozen come out.
Sure.
And I remember having to watch Frozen.
hmm
I don't remember Frozen like this.
Man, this shit look boss as shit. Like I'm gonna go ahead and put it out here. Elsa has officially become a superhero, and I'm actually okay with that. Like, I don't know anything about the story. All I know is that there was some ice. She had ice powers. There was a weird little snowman in the Let It Go
Olaf.
song. That's all I know about Frozen. I have not anything else. And there's some elk or some shit in the movie. I don't know. Other than that, I know jack shit about that movie.
you know way little.
And after watching this trailer, though, I was like, you know what? This actually looks pretty fucking badass. Like, for one, I guess the main thing that like kind of took me back, or like I was kind of aghast at, was it looks really good. I know it's all CG and shit like that, but it looked really, really good. Like the cinematography and the colors and all that shit, it looked really good. And then how they incorporated the music into her like running on the water and shit like that, and her kept trying over and over again, and all the ice shit she was throwing up the waves. I was like, this looks dope. I don't know if any of that's in
The first
Frozen
one
1.
is not as dope.
I'm like, I feel like they upped the ante a little bit in this one.
Like the first one is all musical and smiles and that fucking Let It Go song.
But she has the ice powers, though.
Well, yeah. She gets them when she's a kid or something.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
she runs away because she thinks that people are going to make fun of her, and she's got a sister and bits and pieces, like I said.
Okay. Fair
But,
enough.
yeah, no, the first one is not that great. In the trailer for the first one, all you hear is her singing the damn fucking song where
Yeah.
she's let it go.
So what about you, Benwah? What, how did you feel about this?
Okay, well, it started with her, like, running across the ocean, but whenever her foot would hit the water, it would, like, turn to ice slightly underneath her step.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly, like, there was a big old wave, and the whole ocean, what it seemed like, turned into ice. And I was instantly reminded of Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
I know, right?
Makes the ice bridge.
I know, right?
And, yeah, I understand where it comes off to you, like, is she a superhero now? Because for it to hype that moment in the trailer makes me think there's going to be more moments in the film where she actually... Because I never saw the first Frozen.
Sure.
But let me know if I'm wrong here. It seems like this girl had latent ice powers that she wanted to suppress because she didn't know how to control them or work them right, and bad stuff happened. Like, chaos ensued because she didn't really know how to control her powers.
Sure.
And then there was, like, the story about her and her sister and all that stuff. But it seems like this is going to be more action-oriented.
That's what I kind of got from it, too, yeah.
And it's like, I thought of Sub-Zero, and then I thought of, was the Avatar film?
It's about the last
Disney thing,
Airbender.
too? Well, yeah.
I think maybe
Is that
that was
technically Disney
I think,
affiliated?
I know it was a Nickelodeon cartoon, but it may have been a Disney movie. I'm not sure. Go ahead though. I'll find out.
I know that was it was M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong who fucking produced that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But it got me thinking
Avatar?
of that too. Like,
No, not the Blue
Last
People
Airbender.
Avatar. The Avatar: The Last Airbender from the cartoon.
Oh.
From Nickelodeon.
yeah, not the James Cameron. No,
I
no,
was
no,
gonna
not-
say,
not that shit.
But it got me thinking: are they going to emphasize more elements, or are there going to be like more princesses that have certain powers like this? Like what else is going to be brought into the world? Because apparently they were trying to get somewhere, whether they were running away or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just curious as to. This seems like, having not seen the first Frozen film, the trailer makes me think the second is going to be completely different. Like maybe even a different genre.
It kind of seems like it. This trailer is more dramatic and very, I don't know, filled with a lot of resiliency, I guess, might be the word that I'm looking for. Maybe not. But the first trailer is very much, it's a musical, and there's a cheery little snowman, and it's heartwarming, and it's everything that you expect to see from Disney. Like, you know, it's got the princesses, and the cute little sidekicks, and the moral dilemma against the everyday man, and all that Disney princess bullshit. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Disney movies, but this one definitely seems very edgy.
No. Avatar: The Last Bender is just it's a Nickelodeon movie. The Nickelodeon.
So it had
movies
nothing to do with
companies,
Disney.
yeah, no.
Okay,
No.
okay.
But yeah,
Well, all I know is the first Frozen was huge, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that shit was a phenomenon. Like that movie, I'm pretty sure they brought that shit back to theaters after it left, just because people loved it so fucking much.
They
like,
just had it at the Silver Screen Theater in Saginaw, down by the Dow.
and you know what that means now that they're coming out with this sequel. It's gonna come back again.
Oh yeah, it's on Disney all the time.
I feel bad for every parent who had a kid that would not stop listening to that song over and over again, because now that this is coming out, they could be like, you know what, we can dust off that Frozen CD. Nah, mommy burned that shit a long time ago.
I'm so glad that my kids aren't born yet, because they get to miss the Baby Shark, they get to miss Frozen, they get to miss. Oh, speaking of that
it'll
damn
be a
Baby
thing
Shark.
for them though.
Okay, Walmart is now selling plushy, squishy
Get the fuck
things.
outta here,
I swear to
man.
God. My aunt just bought my cousin's one.
Good lord.
It looks like the 3 little sharks from the damn Baby Sharks thing, and you squeeze it and it sings the frickin' song.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess one of my big takeaways from this was, because like Benwah said, I feel like it's going to be a bit more action oriented than the first movie. Like I think they're trying to hit more quadrants of the audience.
Probably
where they're
the
trying
older
to get,
kids.
you know, like younger boys maybe more into it. They're like, look at all this ice powers and X-Men and shit. Like,
Yeah.
which I still think it's a missed opportunity that the other sister doesn't have firepower,
Yeah.
because I think that would be kind of cool. Maybe in this one, we'll see. But
well, at the end of the trailer, I don't know their names, like Elsa and something else. The one
Anna.
sister, the one
Yeah.
without the ice power,
Anna.
like just pulls a sword out of the sheath of the guy and just swipes.
yeah.
And that's how it ends. Like,
Yeah, and then,
so is she going to be like the rogue in this D&D campaign? What is
maybe
the rogue?
she
The Ruage?
they
Ruads?
there was a point too where she's like jumping over some kind of cliff or something like that in the trailer, and I was like, huh. I'm like, maybe they're showing all the action that's going to be in it. There's still going to be like, don't get it twisted. Disney is not going to miss the opportunity to make another soundtrack for this shit. Like, there will be the songs and all that shit in there. Please believe. But I think that they're going to capitalize a little bit more on the powers and the fantastical shit in this one, which they should, because it's like, if you're going to give her fucking Iceman's powers and shit, then make her fucking Iceman or woman or whatever you want to call it. But my big takeaway from this is, I wonder what the new song that annoys the shit out of me will be that comes out of this movie, because there's going to be a song. And I don't know if it'll be as big as Let It Go, but I'm sure they have like scientists and like fucking astrophysicists like in a lab trying to figure out the perfect combination of lyrics and musical notes and shit to make another one of them Let It Go songs. Like,
they're just going to take Let It Go and put new words to it.
Right, Let It Go. I'm telling you, let it go again. Keep letting it go. Don't let it go.
The EDM remix.
Right.
Yeah, what is Idina Menzel going to drive parents crazy with this time?
Oh, yeah, and you know it's going to happen. Like, it's inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess...
Well...
go ahead.
Oh, no. Nah, you.
Okay. Well, I guess, too, my other thing would be, do you think that they can catch lightning in a bottle twice? Like, will this be the whole phenom like the first movie was?
I don't think so.
Or do you think the glory is kind of faded and, like, the...
Sequels never do as well. Disney sequels especially.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
I mean, they hype them up.
Lion King 1.5 is terrible.
Lion King 1.5 is terrible. The Little Mermaid 2 was horrible.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Pocahontas 2 was horrible.
Damn, they made a Pocahontas 2?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I've not seen a lot
The
of these.
Cinderella 2 was horrible.
Oh, Jesus. Why?
Like, I think the only one they've not made a part 2 is Snow White.
Okay.
Like,
Beauty and the Beast 2? Is that a thing?
Yep, there's a Beauty and the Beast, and then there's a Beauty and the Beast, like, Christmas...
Spectacular extravaganza.
Yeah, something like that. And then they've got 3 Aladdins.
Is there 3 Aladdin? Oh,
There's-
Return of Jafar.
Yeah.
I forget about that one.
Which,
What's the third one?
King of Thieves.
Okay, Return of Jafar is actually
Return of
kinda
Jafar is
okay.
not bad,
Yeah,
but
that one's
King
not
of
bad.
Thieves kind of gets real cheesy real quick. It's got,
Okay.
like, they talk about, like, the hand of Midas and got a thing that turns everything gold and brings back Aladdin's father. And, oh, yeah, it's...
Wow.
I'll let you borrow the DVD.
Okay, all right.
Yes, I have all 3 of them on DVD.
Right, as she talks about how horrible they are. She's like, I
But
own
to
them all,
be
but-
fair, I did not buy part 2 or 3 on DVD. They
Sure.
were given to me as a gift because they were ordered from the Disney Club.
Sure.
But, needless to say, they had like a Lilo and Stitch 2. That one was iffy.
I didn't even see the first one.
I liked the first one. The only one that's decent, like the Pixar sequels seem to do okay.
Yeah, the Toy Story movies are
Toy
great,
Story
yeah.
movies are good.
I hear Wreck-It Ralph 2 was okay, but I didn't see
it looked okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. Finding Dory was good. The Cars sequel, Cars 2 was okay. Cars 3 was horrible. Anyways, the Disney sequels don't always live up to their first predecessor, so...
Yeah, because it's usually something special about that first one. What the problem is because they've adapted these movies off of pre-existing stories like
Right.
Cinderella and Beauty and
Right.
the Beast and The Hunchback of Notre Dame and all that kind of stuff.
There was part 2 of that, too.
Yeah, so it's like, so how do you make a sequel? You can't make a sequel to something that's like a folk tale that's been around for, hundreds of years
Right,
and
there's
shit.
not a second part to the
Right.
story.
Which I don't even know how the Hunchback worked, because didn't they, die at the end? Doesn't Hunchback die at the end of that?
No.
Well, maybe not in the Disney version, but I think in the original story he does.
Probably in the Hans Christian Andersen version, I'm sure.
Oh, shit, dropping knowledge. Look. Good job. Anyway, I mean, I think, I guess I'm okay to say that we're all kind of interested to see how this turns out. I'm not going to go to the theaters to see this
hell
shit.
no.
But I went from I am dreading this to, okay,
Watch
looks
it
okay.
out the red box.
Yeah, I mean, give it a shot. Why not?
Rent it at Family Video.
And then I'll start singing Let It Go. I'm changing the theme song to the podcast when it comes on now. It's going to be like one giant leap for Let It Go! Okay, anyway.
Despite Mike trying to speak for us all and saying that we're all somewhat maybe anticipating what's going to happen, I am not, but for those of you who are, the film will be released on November 22nd, right around Thanksgiving.
Oh. Wow, that's quick.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I didn't even know they were making a Frozen 2. The trailer came out and it's already coming out this year. Shit. Oh, shit. Go Disney. They said, hell yeah, we ain't letting this shit get... We're trying to get paid.
I said, they got all kind of movies coming out.
Man, Disney.
Disney cranking them.
Hell yeah, there's... God. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. All right, moving on.
Here I stand, in the light of day, let the storm rage on, the cold never bothered me anyway. Sorry, it's just so damn catchy.
We got a new Seth Rogen movie coming out called Long Shot. It stars Charlize Theron and
Seth Rogen.
Before we even talk about the trailer, can we just pause for a moment and just talk about the beauty that is Charlize Theron? Like, this woman is like 43 and she still looks like a fucking fox. Like, she is like banging. Like, she's been looking kind of weird in her last few movies. Like, not so hot in the Mad Max movie. Not so hot in that monster movie she was in, but
she was
purposefully not to look good. But
she didn't look bad in Fast 8, though.
I didn't see that.
She was.
I know she's the villain.
Yeah, she ends up being the villain. But I mean, she's holding herself together very well.
Hell yeah, banging.
It's
them African genes, man. That's what it is.
Is that what it is?
Wakanda forever.
It is.
Oh. I was just shocked, but what's bothering me about this trailer?
I didn't realize it was her until, I was watching the trailer and she looked familiar and I was like, who is that?
Who is this woman?
And then she spoke and I was like, oh yeah, okay.
The thing that's kind of bothering me about it, outside the movie itself, is they make a joke in the trailer about it, but this is legit like a Pretty Woman remake.
Yeah.
Like, to like a big degree, because he makes that joke where he says, but you're Julia Roberts and she's Richard Gere, and I'm like, yeah, once he said that too, I was like, that's why this feels so familiar. Like, they pretty much redid Pretty Woman.
Kind of.
They changed some stuff. It's like, oh, I used to know you because I babysat you and I'm the Secretary of State or whatever, but she's basically getting with some schlubby, like beneath her social class wise person, and then they're going to find some middle ground and teach him, things about himself that he needs to learn and vice versa and yada yada. And it's just like, I've seen this movie a lot. Yeah. That being said, that's not the fault of the movie. I mean, this story's been told a bunch of times, so I'm not knocking it for that. What I am knocking it for is I don't like the whole not really attractive. This is going to sound racist, and I don't mean it to. So I'm going to preface this with this first. I don't mean for this to sound racist, but I don't like the whole schlubby Jewish dude who gets with like the hot chicks. Like, what's his name? The director. He was an actor and he starred in like all his movies pretty much.
Oh, Woody Allen.
Woody Allen made a whole career off of being this awkward schlubby Jewish dude who always would get with these like supermodel-esque women in all his movies, and I'm just like, like Billy Crystal did that shit, and I'm just like, I'm just not, At least if you're gonna put them in a movie together, like, make him step his game up at least. Like, why he gotta be all, like, I'm dressing in this silly ass, 90s.
We're in the 90s.
Man, I swear to God, I thought this was like,
jacket.
Man, I thought he walked off the set of fucking Fresh Prince or fucking In Living Color or some shit. And I was like, what is this? I don't know.
That pullover that everybody had.
Man, and it was that hat. It was just driving me crazy the whole time. I was just like, man. But like I said, I just feel like that, type of movie is played out, and I'm kind of over that shit. It's just like, because I feel like it kind of gives people like the wrong impression, and it's just like, you ain't gotta, try to look nice and take care of yourself or whatever. I mean, you can have Charlize Theron. Like, no, I can't fuck Charlize Theron. So how the fuck is Seth Rogen fucking her? Bullshit. I call bullshit on all this. Am I wrong? I mean, am I just looking at it too, like, deeply?
I'm looking at it like it's going to be just going to be pulling off common tropes with slightly different backgrounds. As of, I knew him when he was a kid because I babysat him. We come from 2 different places now. It's going to be a standard, probably paint-by-numbers rom-com, but with Seth Rogen in it, it's going to have some kind of raunchy comedy moments.
There's going to be a lot of weed jokes.
Charlize Theron is a good actress, be it serious, badass, or comedic, so...
Does she do comedic?
They're both probably going to do well in their roles, but the movie's probably going to be incredibly predictable, and if you've seen one rom-com, they're not going to change the formula enough to make this something you want to go out and pay money for at the theater.
Yeah.
I bet it's probably going to get mixed reviews, but it's probably going to make a nice chunk of change. So it'll be a success. Whether or not it's a big success, who knows? With it slated to come out in the spring on May 3rd.
It'll make him enough money to keep his weed habit going.
That's what makes rom-coms work.
Yeah.
Like, that's why we like the predictability. And I say we, and I speak for most women that enjoy rom-coms and the few men that do but don't admit it. You like to see the underdog or the typical person, the everyday Joe. You like to see them land the beautiful people. You like to see the beautiful people get brought down to, hey, there are people that are everyday people, and
sure,
we may be beneath you, but once you start getting to know us, we're just like you. We're just the people.
I can see that. I can see that. I mean,
and comparing it to Pretty Woman's a pretty big deal, because Pretty Woman's like the best rom-com ever.
Yeah, Pretty Woman is, and I actually do enjoy that movie.
That's not despite how some people might think that's a justifiable comparison. I don't, simply for the fact that one, you mentioned that Seth Rogen is going to kind of look like a slub. Julia Roberts was already pretty.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true.
She was pretty hooker, and then she was prettier once she was
pretty
not a hooker.
Oh
my God.
Yeah, I get what you're saying about, the unlikely guy who ends up winning the woman in the end, the underdog story. Yes, that does attract people, but it's a played out trope. They got to bring something special to the table, and I don't see it happening. So at best, for me, this would be a movie that you might rent, or your wife or your girlfriend might rent, or you might watch on Netflix like 6 months after it's out. This is not something that I personally would spend, let's put it this way. If you're going to go see a theater, you can't just count the movie ticket. You got to count the popcorn or the nachos or something. I don't see myself spending $15 minimum to go see this.
One of the other things about it, because I know I'm kind of down on this movie, or on the trailer at least, but I like most of Seth Rogen's movies. Like, I enjoy Superbad. I like This Is the End. I like Pineapple Express. I even like The Interview, and a lot of people don't like that movie, and I think that's pretty funny. But
I'm not a Seth Rogen fan. Like, Knocked Up was okay.
Oh, Knocked Up, I like that too.
Knocked Up was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But talking about Knocked Up, though, what's the difference between this and Knocked Up? He's a little more successful in his career, but it's the same fucking thing. He Knocked Up, he wound up getting with a woman who was supposedly way above him because they were drunk or whatever. In this movie,
well, at least with that,
everybody's going to think that she's more... Like, it's going to be too parallel for me.
Well, at least with that, I mean, at least they had to concede that she was drunk. And and then it was like, oh, now I'm kind of stuck with you because you my baby daddy now and shit. It wasn't like, oh, we had this connection or whatever, and, I'm still drawn to you.
Can we address the fact that you probably shouldn't be finding children that you babysit attractive? Even 20 years later.
Yeah, well, we don't...
No, I can't say that.
I was going to say, we don't know how old she was at the... She looks young during that flashback. Still, like, she was probably like... We'll say he was 9 and she was like 14 or something.
Still, like, you used to take care of that kid. You probably shouldn't find them attractive. I don't know. That's just me as a babysitter. If I were to turn around and...
Sure.
Not that I ever would.
Yeah, no.
Like,
I could see that. Yeah.
I know this one kid, and I started babysitting him when he was 2.
No, see, because I think there's a big age gap, though, which you're comparing to, but I feel like if the roles were reversed and he babysat her, people would be like, weird. Yeah, people would be like, oh, that's fucking creepy.
See, I still think I think both scenarios are weird. I don't think that if I've been hired to take care of you, that I am one day going to find you attractive or, you know, one day potentially kiss you in a dark basement. I really don't. They're in the trailer and they're in that area.
I get what you're saying on an individual level, on an individual isolated basis level. I get what you're saying. If you view that adult as the same kid, of course you can't do that. That would be weird if you view them in that light and then still find them attractive. But we're not talking about Woody Allen and a 16-year-old Asian adopted daughter. When you, like, these are people who are well into their adulthood now, whose age gap probably isn't that big. Could be anywhere from 5 to 10.
Even if that age gap wasn't that big, it's still weird. Like, it's still weird to me, I think, because I was trusted to take care of you as a kid, and all right.
Yeah, you was trusted to take care of them 20 plus years ago.
Go 20 years down the road, and I come across somebody that I was supposed to babysit. I was like, oh yeah, you know, I remember you. You're so-and-so. I used to change your diapers or whatever.
I think what your issue is because at that point you kind of see them as like, oh, like a little brother.
Right.
Like, it's like you don't see them.
You see them as a sibling side.
Yeah.
Even 20 years later, you know, you see this person as, hey, I was in your life for a period of time, whether it be brief or extended, and I can't see you as anything but like an extension of family.
Sure, I could see that.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at. But I do know that guys have this weird thing about doing the babysitter. So
why is it weird?
Well, no. That's not just a guy thing.
I know it's
what if you were a guy who babysat somebody who happened to be a girl? I know it doesn't happen all that often.
It's the same as finding your teachers attractive. Like,
well, that's what I'm going to say. What if the kid you babysat found you attractive when you guys were both kids, or you were a teenager? Well, or a young adult? Would that make it creepy if they hit on you 20 years
it
later?
would. Like, it's the same as liking a teacher. I mean,
I get the point that you're making, but
if you never learn to mature that role, then yes. But this sounds like something we ought to leave to the listeners. How would you feel about that?
Is it creepy? I'm more concerned with me personally. I feel like if the roles were reversed and he was the babysitter and she was the kid and then they hooked up later, I think that, especially probably because it's Seth Rogen too, that people would be like on Twitter right now like, oh, this is fucking bullshit. Like, what is this? Like, he's a predator. So yeah, anybody listening, we would love to know your thoughts. Like, is it creepy that they are hooking up, 20 years later and there was a few years age gap? Are you okay with that? Do you agree with Mel? Do you think it's weird? Do you agree with Ben? Do you think it's fine? And if the roles were reversed, would you still have the same opinion? Like, I would love to know, like, what other people think about this too. We're gonna stir up some shit. I'm just telling you.
I mean, I do want to go see the movie, regardless.
Yeah.
I'm not a Seth Rogen fan, but this looks like it would be a Seth Rogen movie that I'd be willing to go see.
The only thing that really bothers me about it is when does Seth Rogen start doing like pratfall comedy? Like when he falls down the stairs and shit. I was just like, it gave me the Melissa McCarthy movie vibes. It was like, look at me, I'm fat and I'm clumsy. I'm gonna fall down for a joke. And I'm like,
I like Melissa McCarthy movies, so.
And then the whole crack it down.
Yeah, I was just like, this.
Yo, I mean, 20 years ago, like in Friday or something, that would have been hilarious. But 2019, no.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe that's what they're going for with him, because he does have the 90s jacket.
Maybe it takes place in the 90s and we just don't know.
No, because the rest of it didn't seem like. Maybe he's stuck in the 90s.
It might.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, with her being Secretary of State, it really reminded me of, 5 years ago, Hillary Clinton.
I kind of got that too.
So who knows?
All right, but yeah, no, definitely let us know what you guys think about this, because I want to know. I'm like, are we, I want to know whose side of this battle you're on, and I'm playing devil's advocate in the middle of this one. But anyway, Long Shot, yeah, it comes out in, you said May?
May 3rd. If you happen to go to South by Southwest next month, you get not a sneak peek, but you get to see the film there.
Nice. All right, yeah. So it'll be coming upon us very soon.
It's gonna get outshined by the Avengers.
Oh well, yeah. Damn, yeah, but the Avengers come out April 27th. Yeah, they crazy as hell. Y'all don't want this movie to make money. All right, moving on.
It's official. You heard it, folks. Master is a fucking racist.
Welcome to Benwah's Wabbit Hole. It's where I, Benwah, give you a brief synopsis of random things I found interesting on the internet. Some of these things may be further elaborated on in future podcasts, but I'd recommend you dig deeper for yourself if you're interested.
The views and opinions expressed in the Wabbit Hole are those of Benwah's and Benwah's alone, and do not necessarily reflect the position of any member, affiliate, or future sponsor, despite us not having any, of the One Giant Leap for Geeks podcast.
Double Dare, the children's game show which originally ran from 1986 to 1993, revived in 2000, and now revived for a second time last year, might be considered super sloppy. But do you know a show that's even sloppier? The Jerry Springer Show! Maybe sloppy is not the right adjective, but whatever. In 1992, prior to its transition towards provocative, raunchy, debaucherous content, Mark Summers appeared on The Jerry Springer Show to bring Double Dare's physical challenges to an audience full of adults. Not only that, but there were some clips of him shown from his past doing stand-up and sketch comedy as well. According to the IRS, initial data showed average Americans received approximately 8.4% less in their tax returns thus far. Amazon, which made over $11 billion last year, paid absolutely nothing in taxes. Had it paid the 21% corporate tax rate, down from the previous 35% given Trump's 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the government would have an extra $2.3 billion at their disposal. That's almost half of what President Trump wanted for his fucking wall that Mexico was supposedly going to pay for, and more than what Congress allotted him as part of this year's budget. While it's no emergency, President Trump said he could screw us over a longer period of time, but he'd rather do it much faster. On March 2nd in Sydney, Australia, Square Enix will take part in the Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras Parade with a Final Fantasy XIV online float. The float will be made in partnership with the non-profit social group Sydney Gamers, spelled Gaymers. While there are currently no photos available of the float, it's being described as unique and exciting, and built around the theme of Realms United. In December, Swedish furniture company IKEA announced their plan to open its first store in New Zealand. Ironically, according to world maps sold by IKEA at a whopping $30 a pop, New Zealand doesn't exist. Sadly, it turns out they aren't the only offenders when it comes to omitting New Zealand from world maps. I personally believe that Earthworlders are unable to do so because some people out there in our Earth don't have maps, and I believe that our education, such as in school, and geography, everywhere such as, and I believe that they should wait. They don't love you like I love you, maps, wait. They don't love you like I love you. That's a reference I don't know if any of y'all are going to understand. A Kansas man called 911 to report a potential bomb threat at a local Home Depot. Turned out the man was full of shit as the only thing blown up was a bathroom. That's a poop joke. And now, thanks to a cognitive neuroscientist from the University of Groningen, it's in the Netherlands, and that guy's name is Dr. Jacob Jolis. Well, whatever. Apparently, within the 6 or 7 rabbit holes we've done, we're going to now wind up with another list of top 10 things. And these are the top 10 feel-good tunes from the last 50 years, according to science. You guys think you have any idea what's going to be on this list?
From the last 50 years? Probably not.
Top 10 feel-good tunes from the last 50 years. You want to hear them?
I'm going to say Happy by Pharrell is at least somewhere.
Hound Dog by Elvis.
Surfing USA.
Surfing USA.
Neither of them are on this list. Oh.
Mike got that one.
No, but the Beach Boys are on this list.
Don't they have one like California Girls?
Don't worry, be happy.
Don't worry, be happy.
Nope. The most modern song on this list is actually from 1986.
Okay.
So, but you will know a good number of these songs. And you very well might. We're going to start with number 10 and work our way to number 1. Number 10 from Katrina and the Waves, Walking on Sunshine. Number 9, this is a classic, Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. Number 8, Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. Number 7, Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Wanna Have Fun. Number 6, The Monkees, I'm a Believer. Number 5, Survivor, Eye of the Tiger. Number 4, Billy Joel's Uptown Girl, which was actually a song written to Christy Brinkley. Number 3, The Beach Boys. I'm taking another stab at which one of their songs was on here.
Do you want to try? Because I don't know.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I would say I don't know.
Okay.
Good Vibrations.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Number 2, ABBA's Dancing Queen. And number 1, a Queen song. Of course, that gotta be number 1, right?
We Will Rock You.
No.
What?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
No,
Really?
No, I don't know.
No.
Queen's Don't Stop Me Now.
Oh.
Really?
You know what's funny is all 10 of those are on my Spotify playlist, and I've listened to them in the last week.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, with the road trip, I bet.
Hey, Spotify was a genius.
Oh, I'm sure.
Didn't play the same song all 5,000 miles.
And those are the top 10 feel-good tunes from the last 50 years, according to science.
And now back to your regularly scheduled podcast. Eye of the Tiger is a feel-good song. I guess if you say so.
It's that time again for America's #1 show, Dumb Shit of the Week. That's right, Dumb Shit of the Week is a show where DJ Melly Mel finds dumb shit and we talk about it. Want your submission on the show? Find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, or you can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. Now here's your host, DJ Melly Mel.
Thank you. All right, so the dumb shit that I found this week is kind of a throwback, actually, to something we had mentioned in a prior dumb shit episode. Oh boy, it's making a comeback.
Mm-mm.
A dumb shit sequel.
A dumb shit reboot, if you will.
Revisited.
So the newest trend that has several celebrities partaking is dyed armpit hair.
Oh.
Now, the small article that I have says, it's a clip from this, or the quote from the small article. Oh, I'm dyeing my armpit hair, says one person who has shocked people for 5 seconds. When guys take a selfie and they show off their armpits, nobody questions anything. But if I happen to show my armpit hair in a selfie, it's like, whoa, hold on, feminist witch asking for attention. Several people, including Miley Cyrus, have taken... Yes, Miley.
Of course
Miley, Lady Gaga.
Oh, God.
I do believe there was one person she was in Vanity Fair recently. They have taken to dyeing their armpit hair. And not just, basic colors. We're talking pink and green and yellow and electric blue and... Okay. I'm not somebody who believes that you should shave off every bit of hair just because everybody is.
Sure.
I don't care.
Sure.
Do you know how many times I went to the beach and I've had hairy legs in my bikini? I don't care. Whatever.
Sure.
But at the same time, I'm not going to purposely go out into the world and buy hair dye for the hair underneath my arms.
I feel like it'd be a waste.
I think so. Because, unless you're going to walk around with your armpits to the world.
Right, I know. I'm like, who's going to
see it?
And then not only that, I feel like it's just a waste of the product because that is meant for your whole hair, and you're wasting a whole box of hair dye on your fucking armpits?
It comes in a, a hair gel container.
Oh,
so, the little clear, and you twist the lid, and then you can just get out as much as you need. And it's supposed to last, in the container, it's supposed to last for, 3 months or something. But, at the same time, like I said, unless you're walking around with your hands behind your head, and you're showing off your armpits like this, who is gonna see your fucking armpit hair?
You know...
why?
It feels like one of those things where... I'm an advocate of traditional feminism.
Sure.
I'm not necessarily too hot about some of the things that have happened with feminists lately, but I feel like it's one of those things where it's I shouldn't have to, shave my armpits to be beautiful and this, that, and the other. And it's that's subjective, I would say, because I'm...
Me personally, now this goes for me and me alone.
Sure.
If I look into the mirror and I see hair under my armpits, I'm like, oh my God, that's gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
If I look into the mirror and I look at my bikini line and I say, oh God, that's gotta go.
Sure.
But that's for me. I have my own reasons.
Sure.
I'm not going to walk up to Amber and I'm not going to be like, Amber, you've got to shave your armpits and you got to shave your legs and your bikini line and whatever. I'm not going to walk up to Miley Cyrus and be like, you have got to shave your armpits because you have 4 inches of hair underneath there. Or, your legs look like Chewbacca undershorts. Whatever. I don't care.
Oh, shit.
But... Nobody's telling you that you have to shave. I don't care.
Sure.
You want to walk around hairy, that's your business.
Sure.
It doesn't bother me any. Me personally, I don't like it sometimes. But I'm not going to go out and I'm not going to dye my armpit hair or my leg hair or my groin hair or fucking any other hair my arm hair. Come on. That just looks ridiculous.
I don't know, Benwah, you've been quiet on this one. What do you think about this?
Okay, well, first off, you use the term traditional feminist, and I do recall when we were guest on a Nerd to the Third, I believe one of those guys used that term too. Mm. I don't get that term. I don't think there is any difference within feminism. Feminism is feminism. I won't get into any more of that. I'll digress because that's kind of not what we're talking about. As for dyeing armpit hair, yeah, I agree with you in the sense that since armpit hair is something that's usually not visible unless you're lifting your arms, why would somebody do that without the intention of showing it off? You're doing it for attention at that point. It's not like you're dyeing the hair on top of your head where it's just visible.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So I don't see this as any more than a gimmick or as some kind of call for attention. As a woman, if you don't want to shave your armpits, fucking don't shave your armpits. It's fine.
Exactly.
But whether you're a woman or a man, if you want to dye them, why? What is the end game with doing that? I don't understand the point.
Yeah, it's who is that for exactly? And I'm always curious too, who comes up with this shit? What was the first person? Because it had to have been somebody in Hollywood somewhere. Because if celebrities are doing it, somebody had to have seen it and be like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to start doing that.
Probably Miley.
Yeah. Poor Miley.
She was the one that kept popping up, so it could be.
If you really want to dye your armpit hair for you, and for solely you, fucking do your thing. No judgment. Just, do whatever you got to do to make you happy.
Exactly.
But if you're doing it to try and, invoke a reaction out of somebody else, then... No, you're annoying me. Go away. No, I don't. That's stupid.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't follow your logic there.
It's kind of.
Now, then again, it's not just with the armpit hair thing. If you're doing anything just to provoke a response out of somebody, it's you need more confidence or something. What?
Right. Or you're just trying to.
I would say it's kind of like the people that dye their beards too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen,
or the dudes that have the bedazzled
the
Who
glitter beards.
is that for? What? You don't have a job, do you? I promise you work from home and or you are unemployed. Because there is no job on the face of this earth that's going to let you come in there looking like that. No.
And have you ever handled glitter? It gets everywhere.
Maybe if you work at Hot Topic, maybe. Or Spencer's.
Spencer's, maybe.
Maybe. But even them, I'm sure they're probably like, I don't know. Like maybe the tips.
Yeah.
You get some frosted tips in your beer. Yeah. No, I don't know. Like, again,
whatever.
I feel like everybody has body autonomy. Like, do your thing, whatever makes you happy. But I feel like it's a waste because unless you are, like you said, going to go around with your hands behind your head constantly showing people your armpits.
Oh, look at my pits. Hey.
It's like, who's going to give a shit?
They're like, I dyed my hair. You did. You want to see?
Yeah, it's like,
no. I don't know.
But me personally, though, and this is just me, I think armpit hair on women is gross. But that's just me.
I do too.
I think it's fucking gross, but that's just me.
I don't like my armpit hair.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have anything to do with being oppressed. It doesn't have anything to do with the man telling me how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
I'll even play the other side. I don't like chest hair on men who are, like, jacked and shit. Like, if The Rock had a bunch of chest hair, it would just look weird to me. Because I see him shirtless so much.
Yes.
So it's like, when it's like some big chiseled dude, I would prefer you to just be clean shaven. Just aesthetically, for me, it looks weird.
Yeah.
So you're not a fan of Magnum T.I.? No Tom Selleck?
Hell no, No, even in the dude, Henry Cavill, that they had playing Superman.
I can't say nothing about Tom Selleck.
Like, they had him covered in chest hair, but then Ben Affleck, when he was Batman, he has no chest hair. And I'm like, wait a minute, why does Superman have chest hair but Batman don't? Like, I don't get it.
Because like, Batman's a boss.
He's like, I'm rich, bitch. Like, I don't do that shit.
Yeah.
That's disturbing.
I don't know. It is certainly dumb and happening this week. I first saw it. It had come mentioned it's like they were dyeing their eyebrows too. To
Why?
match, to match their armpit hair.
Like, who is this?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But that's the dumb thing that I found this week.
God,
and as I said, I don't care what you do personally. If you are not,
I prefer we go back to just bedazzling vaginas if we're gonna go down
glitter tits.
Yeah, I mean, just go back to that.
At least that you can. Get a view
thing,
of something.
Who is it for? Because no one's going to see it unless you're going to flash everybody. So
that started at like Woodstock and stuff, though.
But again, unless you're going to constantly flash people, who is going to see this? Or you're just planning on being shirtless for the whole festival?
That essentially with glitter tits and the glitter booty, then that's what it was. They were covering up so they didn't have to put clothes on.
Yeah, it's if you're doing it for yourself. Maybe it's weird, but go for it.
Right.
If you're doing it just so you can be like, hey, look what I did. Stop, Stuart. I don't care.
Exactly. I agree. So that was the dumb shit that I found this week. If you have any questions about my process of dumb shit of the week, you can always contact me at Froggy Beaver on Twitter.
How deep within you is the dumb shit?
Comes from my soul, I tell you. No, I just pull it out my ass on my way here.
Well, it is dumb shit.
Yeah.
To be fair.
The world may never know unless you hit me up. And then if I can figure out the Twitter, then maybe I can get back to you.
Yeah, but if you ever have put glitter on your breasts or dyed your armpit hair, do send us those on Twitter. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
I'm always down for glitter tits.
Yeah.
Just no Fruit Loops.
No,
God,
Fruit
no.
Loops.
Moving on.
Exactly.
That's your stick. I can't say that.
Hey, it worked. It worked.
Yeah, hey.
I like it.
Yeah, it made my stomach churn a little bit.
I don't have armpits, so I have no dog in this fight.
Growing quest to constantly bring back things from our childhoods, all that is getting rebooted. Or, yeah, I guess you could say reboot, because it's not being remade, because they are bringing back some of the original cast, but
Are they?
That, yes, is getting a reboot. So now this was my original like sketch comedy show, like before Mad TV, before In Living Color,
Yep.
even SNL. This was my introduction to like sketch comedy, and it was glorious. Like I legit loved that show.
I did too.
Now, before we get into it, I want to give, all the information. So I'm getting this from teenvogue.com of all places.
Good source.
Yeah, I know, right? Number one news source, Teen Vogue. News of a potential return to Good Burger and possible pertinent life advice sessions with Ask Ashley is definitely exciting. But as Variety reports, the show will also feature a return from Kenan Thompson.
Yes.
The current Saturday Night Live cast member will serve as executive producer for the revival. It goes on to say, in an interview with Variety, Brian Robbins, president of Nickelodeon, shared some details regarding the return. We think there's a great opportunity to find the next pool of stars, he said. We want to bring the show back in a real fun way. This summer, we are going to bring back a lot of the original cast and the cast through the years, and let them introduce the new cast of all that to the world. He didn't confirm which former cast members might make an appearance, but he did reveal that the show would be a mashup of some of the old sketches and a lot of new sketches.
I hope there's more old. Well, not more.
Not
Not more old because we're not 12 anymore. But
Sure.
I there was a lot of it that I really enjoyed.
We're definitely not bringing back Amanda Bynes, so there's probably not going to be no more Ask Ashley
That's
unless they do it with a different character.
I'm okay with that because that was annoying.
I actually okay, all right.
That's me.
I wanted to do this and just to see a little breakdown for you guys. Now, my favorite characters / skits were Pierre Escargot,
Yes.
Good Burger,
Yes.
yep, and Ask Ashley. Those are my favorites.
I liked Good Burger, Pierre,
Mm-hmm.
the news with the what was the heavyset girl's name?
Lori Beth Thinberg.
Yes.
Lori Beth Thinberg.
And then I think those are my three favorite. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay, what about you, Benwah?
Well, you guys have more memories, or you guys actually watched it more
I say,
than
Ben,
me.
are you even young enough to have watched all that?
No, I know. All that started in 94, but I only really have any memories whatsoever are purely like maybe the first and second season, maybe. I know Good Burger. I know all that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I actually had to tell Mike the name of Pierre Escargot because he was asking me about it the other day. Like, what's the guy who speaks French in the
Yeah,
bathtub?
I was like, I know it's something French, but I could not put my finger on what it was.
There was that, and then like the news segment, like you said, that had Lori Beth, where she would like do news stories, and then there was
wasn't there one with a coach?
I had to look up this.
I feel like
I don't remember.
But go ahead.
I had to look up because there was this one like short girl who I remember her doing like impressions like of Roseanne Barr and Ross Perot. I believe her name was Katrina Johnson.
Yeah.
Because I showed you, Mike. I looked her up because I'm like, who is this? Because when I was looking this stuff up, I'm like, okay, I got to refresh my memory and stuff. Shout out Katrina Johnson. You're never gonna hear this, but how you doing? That's all I'm saying is how you doing.
Yeah, no, she is hot. Yeah, like I don't know what
Woman
happened.
Crush Wednesday when we upload this bitch. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, if you don't know what we're talking about, kids, go Google her because she's like, I don't know, she's some kind of model / just like Athenian goddess or something like that. Like she's hot.
Yeah, she is banging.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's really all I really remember. I know that TLC did the theme song, and I know there were like a lot of Nickelodeon spin-off shows from all that. But
yeah,
and the kid from and the kid from Pete and Pete wound up being a cast member, and like Amanda Bynes, and didn't Nick Cannon come from that show too?
Yep.
So like a few people from that show actually made it big. Of course, well, you can probably say Amanda Bynes had a couple movies, so she had her, moment in the limelight before, kid growing up in Hollywood had her major fucking breakdown.
Yeah.
Of course, Nick Cannon now still has his MTV shows, right? Wild 'N Out still on MTV and things, right?
Yep.
And didn't he host America's Got Talent or something for a hot minute?
He does. Yep.
Well, I thought Terry Crews was doing
Okay.
it.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah.
But
I only watch reruns.
I would say he's probably the most prominent person as it pertains to fame nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be argued that Kenan Thompson is as well.
Yeah.
Because now Kenan Thompson, as far as I'm aware of, he's still doing SNL.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the longest reigning cast member on SNL. He's broken a bunch of records.
Really?
So for him to come back and be the executive producer of all that, seems like with his experience, not just doing the show and growing up in that, but doing SNL a more, because all that was taped live at Nickelodeon Studios
Sure.
up until they moved it or whatever.
It was
So with him being
essentially
able to,
SNL for kids.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It was, but it was taped and then edited and aired. With SNL being just live,
The whole time,
with like a little bit of a tape delay, he has a lot of experience he can use behind the scenes to make it an even better production than the original show was.
Yeah, and I mean, I just hope that this does well, because I really did love that show. And I mean, I think it's a good platform for like young and up and coming actors to get exposure.
I think Gabriel Iglesias was on it for a while.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh wow.
He was for a season.
I think I had stopped watching it by that point, but I remember him making a joke about being on
All that.
So
And Britney Spears' younger sister was on
Jamie
the
Lynn.
last too.
Yep,
Yeah.
she was on a little
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, the only thing that I get worried about with shit like this is I just hope that these kids don't end up like Amanda Bynes. Because I'm like, when you're young and you're in Hollywood and you get a big influx of money and there's people, trying to influence you to all kind of shit, a lot of these child stars end up fucked up. So, I mean, I hope they find the next pool of talent, like they said. I just hope that these kids in 20 years aren't like fucking, in a crack house somewhere down the road, which seems to happen more often than not. It seems to be like a handful continue to be stable, successful people, and everybody else just kind of turn into fucking Corey Feldman. So
pretty much, if you're a Disney child star, then
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, you end up thinking you're Michael Jackson dancing on Good Morning America and shit. And
the mouse screws you over.
Yeah, you do.
And hopefully Dan Snyder stays as far away from this as possible.
Yeah, right.
I've heard and read a lot of things about him being borderline pedophilic. A lot of the kids, from everything from all that up to like iCarly and stuff. It's
damn.
That's a long time frame.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Dan Snyder is like,
he's like the Catholic
is two
priest of
children.
Nickelodeon. That's horrible.
Well, no, he did so much as it pertained to children's shows that, yeah, I'm just happy he's not. I'd be happy if he's not dealing with anything here, just because despite his reputation of being really good, there's also a lot of like untold stories about things. It's not
probably
good.
for the best if they just keep him away from this shit altogether. But yeah, I mean, we don't have a straight up cast list yet, so we don't know who's returning for sure just yet. Besides Keenan, he's going to be on there. But other than that, it's still kind of up in the air. But I mean, more stuff will come out this, in time, and like as we learn more, we will revisit, we will reboot this story again.
Well, isn't the show going to be coming back up this summer though? I would assume they've probably already began production, or at least pre-production.
Yeah. I just don't know who's coming back from the old school cast is all.
Well, it's kind of surprising none of that's leaked, unless they really are keeping it like tightly knit.
They're probably like
they ain't
working out
telling nobody
contracts
yet.
and
They're
shit.
like, yeah, no.
Yeah, they probably like how much you gonna pay me to come back for this bullshit?
You want me to act like a fool and drink orange soda again? You need to pay me a little bit more than that.
He's like, motherfucker, you working at IHOP? Shut up.
Now, that isn't the only Nickelodeon. Michelin Man. That's not. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. That's not the only Nickelodeon show coming back though.
Yeah.
Slated to come this October. Not only is there going to be an Are You Afraid of the Dark film, but they're also going to bring back the show Are You Afraid of the Dark.
And I hope it's as good as it was before, because nowadays they got some stupid shit.
Yeah, man. I don't know. And I mean, maybe, and I've thought about this
Are
as
you
well,
afraid
too.
of the dark? There was no Starbucks.
Yeah, I've thought about this as well, too. I mean, and it may be we may have bias because we were exposed to that at a young age. But with a lot of things, I just feel like they don't try as hard with kid content like they used to. Because, I mean, you know, like, okay, for example, with cartoons. Saturday morning cartoons when I was a kid was dope as shit.
Yep.
Like, you had Batman the Animated Series,
Yep.
X-Men,
Ninja
Spider-Man,
Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. You had
Gargoyles.
Power Rangers, Digimon, all that kind of shit. Now, they got some bullshit for kids. And I'm like, maybe, like I said, I could be biased, and because I'm not, it doesn't appeal to me at this age, but I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I'll see some of these kid shows, I'm like, y'all getting fucked, man. Like, we had some good shit growing up.
They've got, I don't know. I have issues with some of the animation, most of the animation now.
Yeah, it looks cheap.
Yeah, it does. Like, I know I used to watch the Powerpuff Girls.
Sure.
As most people did.
Sure.
You know, our age bracket.
Yeah.
They were
Courage
cool.
the Cowardly Dog.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. That one was a little for me, but I liked Powerpuff Girls.
Sure.
And you could clearly see that they were cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, they were drawn onto a piece of paper, and, you know, you got the flip book where you can, like, flip the pictures and they move.
Sure.
That's cool. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the reboot of the Powerpuff Girls, and I look at it and I'm like, what in God's name did you do to my show? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
You know?
Or like Dexter's Lab and shit like that.
Yeah.
Which I think, though, that was right at the edge of when the animation started kind of taking a downward trend. Because I did like those shows because they were funny, but the animation started to kind of get lazier over time.
Like, I like the Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah.
That
but
one,
again, all those shows
that was, like,
kinda
right
look
on the
alike.
cusp, yeah.
Like, all the characters are kind of drawn the same way, and it's very, like, simplistic, like, you know, shapes for their faces and bodies. Yeah, no, I get what you mean, though. But yeah, now, I don't know, man. Everything just seems like shit.
Like, I wouldn't, if I were a parent and I had children who watched cartoons at home, then I certainly would not be paying for said cartoons, like Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon. Or, I mean, Nickelodeon kind of did the thing where MTV did. Like, it took the main thing off.
Well, because they're owned by the same company.
Yeah, I know, but like it took off the music videos and put all these reality shows.
Right.
Whereas Nickelodeon has taken off most of the cartoons, and it's just all of these teenage basic reality shows.
Yeah. Sitcoms
So, sitcoms
and shit for kids.
intended for teens that really...
They're like, okay, I got it. Pitch meeting. All right.
Well,
Seinfeld, but with teenagers. And it's like, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Nickelodeon did start doing that in the early 90s with, of course, you had, like, Clarissa Explains It All.
Sure.
Late 80s was, like, Hey Dude with reruns.
Sure, but Clarissa
15.
was on late.
Yeah,
Clarissa
and that
was on
a
at,
small
like,
part of
7.
their programming, as opposed to the majority of their programming.
Right.
Is now
Clarissa
shit
was
like
on
that.
at, like, 7, and then you had, like, Are You Afraid of the Dark and the Tales from the Crypt, and all that was...
Oh, you remember Ghost Rider?
Yeah.
just like
All
that
that was
show.
geared towards the older kids.
That was PBS. That wasn't Nickelodeon.
I'm just
Whatever.
saying.
All of that was geared towards
Anyway.
the older kids, but it was at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, during the day, you had, like, the Angry Beavers, and you had, you know, the
Rugrats
Wild
and this
Thornberries
bitch.
and Rugrats, and all of these cartoons aimed for kids that, if not at home, or not at school, were at home.
All right.
You know, you had the half day for elementary kids, or you had the...
Yeah, and it wasn't just kids. It was like kids to preteens.
Right,
you
right.
know. I think once you hit about 14 or so, then you moved on to something else. More
Right.
mature, quote unquote.
Well, if you were a fan of the original All That, and you like sketch comedy, I recommend you look online, see if you can find any old 80s episodes of the Canadian show. You Can't Do That on Television.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that before.
You can't see that on television.
Yep, I've seen that before.
Or see if you can potentially find, like, if you're a little bit older, want to see something that's more aimed at teens than younger kids, see if you can find anything like Roundhouse.
Yeah.
Or Welcome Freshmen.
You know, you had mentioned Double
Freaks and
Dare.
Geeks is good too.
What was it?
Freaks and Geeks.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
Freaks and Geeks was good.
like teenage sketch comedy.
Well, yeah. I was just saying, you had mentioned Double Dare on the Rabbit Hole, and I always liked Double Dare. I liked the reboot when it came back in the mid 2000s.
The reboot was terrible. It came out in 2000.
Yeah.
It was terrible. Double Dare 2000 was shit.
I liked it.
But the new one, the new one that's out now currently, Mark Summers is the executive producer / co-host. I haven't seen any episodes of it yet. I was actually going to watch one last night, but I ended up going to bed earlier than I planned. I said check it out. It's hosted by this star who got I don't know what a YouTube celebrity. I guess I'll put it that way.
An influencer. Isa something. Does this ring a bell for anybody?
No. Honestly, the last time I watched anything on Nickelodeon, I was probably 11.
Oh, well, damn.
Like, okay. I straight up went from Lizzie McGuire to Law and Order SVU. I took the jump.
Wow, that is a big jump in content.
Yeah, I remember being in the 8th grade and I started watching CSI and Law and Order, and that was it. Like, I never looked back.
Well, if you were a fan of all that, definitely look up what I mentioned and if there's any of that available online. So there probably is somewhere. YouTube
there's always
or
something
something.
Oh yeah,
everything's available online.
And when we were a little bit younger and Are You Afraid of the Dark was still on TV, they also had the Ghost Goosebumps.
Yep, Goosebumps.
Show that went along with it. A lot of people often compare Are You Afraid of the Dark to Goosebumps. And when you were younger, they probably were really good. And now that we're adults and we know better and we can like see little blips, they don't really hold up that well. Yeah. You're gonna like them probably purely for nostalgia. If you want to watch a similar show, if you were a fan of like The Twilight Zone or The Outer Limits, look up an early 90s show called Erie, Indiana.
I remember that show. Mm-hmm.
That's a show that is severely underrated.
That was a good one.
Still holds up to this day.
All right. Well, moving on.
How dare you not mention Monty Python's Flying Circus, you uncouth bastards.
So, it has finally come to this. After years of movies and novels, comic books, anime, all kind of shit, has told us that the zombie apocalypse would come in the form of like a plague or like a science experiment gone wrong, some poor lab ape somewhere that was experimented on, or even like some biblical judgment. Nope. It's fucking Bambi. That's how it's gonna go down. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, there is this, I want to say phenomenon, but the more I looked into it and researched it, the more I found out that this has kind of been a thing for a while, and I think it's just getting escalated more in the last few years more recently.
Mm-hmm.
But zombie deer. It sounds crazy, but it's an unofficial term, but we'll get there. Mm-hmm. So just to give you the info dump, I'm getting this from a more, at least, reputable news source than Teen Vogue, but USAtoday.com.
All right.
They said an infectious disease deadly in deer has spread to 24 states, and experts warn that the ailment, unofficially dubbed zombie deer disease, could one day hit humans. Chronic wasting disease, or CWD, has affected free-ranging deer, elk, and or moose in 24 states and 2 Canadian provinces as of January.
Does Michigan fall as one of them states?
Yes.
No, hell.
Yep. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said, it is probable that human causes of chronic wasting disease associated with consumption with contaminated meat will be documented in the years ahead, he said. This is from one of the people from the CDC.
Sure.
It's possible the number of human cases will be substantial and will not be isolated. Ulsterholm compared the situation to mad cow disease in the 1980s and 1990s in the United Kingdom, when there was a public doubt that it could spread to humans, according to British news outlet The Independent. 156 people died in the UK in the 90s because of mad cow disease. No cases of CWD have been reported in humans, but studies have shown it can be transmitted to animals other than deer, including primates, according to the CDC. In deer, CWD spreads through contaminated bodily fluids, tissue, drinking water, and food, the CDC says. The disease affects deer's brains and spinal cords through abnormal prion proteins that damage normal prion proteins. The cells collect and eventually burst, leaving behind microscopic empty spaces in the brain matter that give it a spongy look, according to the North Carolina Wildlife Commission. Symptoms, which can take more than a year to develop, include drastic weight loss, lack of coordination, listlessness, drooling, excessive thirst or urination, drooping ears, lack of fear of people, and aggression. Once CWD is established in an area, the risk can remain for a long time in the environment. The affected areas are likely to continue to expand, the CD says on its website. And then finally, I wanted to just find out a little bit more, so I'm getting this from cwdinfo.org. Where and how did CWD originate? The origin of CWD is unknown, and it may never be possible to definitively determine how or when CWD arose. It was first recognized as a syndrome in captive mule held in wildlife research facilities in Colorado in the late 1960s.
Oh, shit.
But it was not identified as a TSE until the 1970s. Computer modeling suggests the disease may have been present in free-ranging population mule or of mule deer for more than 40 years. It may be possible that CWD is a spontaneous TSE that arose in deer in the wild or in captivity and has biological features promoting transition to other deer and elk. Now, I know that was a lot of information, but basically TLDR, we're all gonna fucking die.
All I'm thinking of is T Money's trying to get his hunting license for this year, and
yeah, don't do it.
He's
it.
such an avid hunter.
It's now on the map that I saw. The cases in Michigan are more concentrated in central Michigan, but it's spreading.
Great.
So I wouldn't take the risk because in one of the articles they were saying that they're like, well, we're not telling people don't hunt, but be careful what you eat. And I'm like, fuck that noise, man. Okay,
so it can spread to.
You gotta get all your meat tested.
Exactly.
Really.
But my fear is, if it can lay dormant up to a year before it shows symptoms, most people would probably kill the deer, look it over. Oh, it looks okay.
Right.
It ain't fucking, because their eyes change color, and then they get tumors and shit all on them, and they start to literally decompose. That's why it's called chronic wasting disease. They will have holes in their face and bodies. They look like fucking zombies. And it's if you don't see a deer like that, it's I'm sure it's probably fine.
Right.
And then you become the fucking zombie.
Right.
Fuck that. No.
No. I think you might have something with this vegetarian thing coming up.
I swear, tofu sound real good right about now.
Shit, give me some shrimp. Shrimp are in the ocean. They're safe.
But it's actually pretty scary that it takes so long for the symptoms to show.
That's insane.
Because like you were saying with T-Money, how he wanted to get his hunting license, here in Michigan, deer hunting is really big.
Yeah.
And God knows how many infected deer have already been consumed, because they were talking about how it's not like these animals who are infected haven't been consumed already.
Sure.
It's just that so far no human transmission has happened.
Yeah,
but it is possible. And it would probably be more likely that you would get it the more contaminated deer meat that you eat.
Right. If you strictly just T-Money growing up, they didn't go to the grocery store for meat very often.
Mm-hmm.
They hunted deer and hog and I don't know, whatever else they could, bird, geese, rabbit, squirrel, whatever.
Right.
They hunted most of that.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's, granted up here that consumption of wild game has gone way down.
Sure.
Just because we haven't been established up here that long.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still very active. Hey, let's, squirrel season, or let's do rabbit or deer. And I love deer. Venison is amazing.
Oh yeah, I like venison meat.
Venison meat is probably the best meat that you'll ever eat. And you don't even know that it's venison sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because it's just so good. And that makes me so sad. Nope. That's it. Give me fish and shrimp.
Yeah.
Give me some crawfish. I'm not
And like I said, it has been around because there had been theories that it is becoming from, and I'm sure that this could probably be valid, but that from human waste, not shit, but
right from companies and factories,
right, and shit like that,
oil in the roads.
There could be something to that, but it's been around for so long at this point that it's it's hard to really tell because this isn't something new. It's
right,
just that,
it said from the 60s on.
Right, the outbreak has just increased so much recently that it's just half the country and I'm sure, honestly, is probably some everywhere, and they just only found in 24 states.
Well, you said 24 states. That's literally half the country.
Yeah.
So Hawaii's safe because,
Right. Do they even have deer in Hawaii?
I don't think so.
Huh.
Alaska's safe because,
if anybody listens to Hawaii, let me know. Is there deer down there?
I know there's not very many in Texas.
Yeah.
Because I remember they had deer in the zoo.
Oh, shit.
My niece's nephew, we went to the zoo and my niece and nephew were all, oh my God, there's deer. And I'm like, they're deer. So what? But I don't know. Maybe.
But the worst part, though, that I find about this is that as of yet, there is no cure.
Mm-hmm.
There's only, measures the government is taking to try and cull the infected population in hopes to, slow it down. But there's no... we got a vaccine in the works or something like that. It's just no. So if, God forbid, this does jump species and infects humans, we're fucked.
Better get that shotgun.
I would say we are fucked. And it's just fascinating to me because, like I said, for years, we've played with the idea of a zombie apocalypse, and there's been all these theories about how it would start, and nobody ever thought,
poison
the fucking deer are going to be the ones to get you.
Yeah.
I'm curious, too. If one bit you, would you just turn? Would that be what
Probably
it would take?
Slowly.
Instead of you eating the deer meat, if a deer was to had bit you,
transferred through saliva.
Okay, this whole zombie thing's blowing it way out of proportion. That's not gonna happen.
It could though.
Say that.
It could though.
Say that.
If it's already in 24 states.
Presumably, it could be passed through saliva and
okay.
fluid. If you were bit by a deer, you could end up catching the disease yourself. But the deers aren't attacking you to try and spread it. This is killing their brains. If anything, they have more dementia. They're attacking you because they don't know any better. And more often than not, they're not going to.
I know, not them intentionally attacking you, but it did say that the deer are less afraid of humans.
Yep, and they become more aggressive.
So what's it going to,
No, not necessarily. They're not going to be. No.
Well, we're not saying that deer are going to be jumping.
Yeah,
through
I'm
your
not saying that they're going to jump us. But if you're a hunter and you come along a deer and you're trying to trap a deer, and instead of stepping on a twig and scaring it, what's going to stop it from it going all postal and coming at you? I'm just saying.
The fact that it can barely function. That's what's gonna stop it from coming after you. And besides, if you end up seeing anything that looks weird, then you'll just avoid it.
I don't know, man. Look, you're giving people a whole lot of benefit of the doubt. It's some stupid motherfuckers out there.
What if you come across deer fluid unintentionally?
Well, because I saw a video
deer fluid deer fluid unintentionally.
Yes, if you're out hunting it, blood, saliva, urine,
just handling the deer.
Yeah. If it has a wound and you have a wound, it's the same kind of contamination as STDs.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing. Because, like I said, because it takes so long for the symptoms to show, you might not even know the deer is infected in the first place. No, yes, a deer attacking and biting you is worst case scenario.
Sure.
But I saw a video looking into this of one of these infected deer in somebody's front yard, grazing.
Yeah.
And these dumb motherfuckers was standing right in front of it with their camera phones recording it.
I bet they
were.
It was
a crowd of people around it, and I'm if it would have lashed out at any point and bit one of them, that could be patient zero.
It wouldn't even have to bite them. If thing spits at you and it gets in your eye, or you get you're handling it or trying to push it away and you get deer slobber on your hand and you don't realize it and you touch your eye or your nose or your lips or anything else.
Or you scratch your ass or something.
Yeah. The transmission is just the same.
I want to believe in my mind that deer are going to cause a zombie apocalypse. Let me have this.
All right.
No, I mean...
Isn't there already some horror film out about chickens?
Yeah.
That kill people?
Yeah.
There you go.
See?
Instead of Sharknado...
Deer-nado.
Deer fucking apocalypse. No, I mean, all of that being said, I just wanted to talk about this because, like I said, hunting is really big where we live, and deer hunting especially, and I'm just concerned because if nothing else, even if you don't turn into a fucking zombie, I'm just worried that they're going to have to cull the deer population to a point to where you won't be able to hunt for a few years until they can get it back, regrow the population again. Because
and if it's in deer now, it said that it could jump to mammals and primates.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have any monkeys running around Michigan here, but what's to say it can't like contaminate a rabbit or a squirrel.
Yeah,
or
those things are more likely to be contaminated. But the scary part and why they said that, the CDC says that it could possibly pass to humans is because primates can get in because our genes are so close to theirs. It's like, well, you never know. Though I think the craziest part about all this though is that
I just keep picturing the last scene of 10 Cloverfield Lane where we're all running around looking like zombies and there's some crazy dude in a bunker be like, I told you.
Right. It's like the craziest thing about this whole thing to me is just that I would have never thought deer would be, the thing that would
fucking Bambi.
Yeah, I swear. Like, so all these zombie movies that you see now and shit like that, and they're like, well, we don't know what caused it, whatever. It was fucking Bambi the whole time. So 28 days later.
It was the dog. Nope. It was the cat. Nope.
Wasn't the ape in the lab. None of that shit. It was fucking Bambi. The Walking
Crazy
Dead,
rats.
all that shit.
Nah.
Yeah. Nope.
First we contaminated the water, like the Thames over in Britain. Then they took care of that eventually with this, built the sewage system and all that. But no, if there was anything that would happen to this planet or that would wipe out mankind, other than like World War III and radiation, it would be contaminating the food source.
Oh yeah.
We're destroying this planet, and it's going to destroy us back by the food chain.
We need to get Captain Planet and the Planeteers out
Oh, shit. Let your powers combine.
Right.
Oh, yeah. But
might as well just, go vegan now and get it over with.
Shit.
Save myself.
Say, there's no guarantee, though, that's even, like, the
What if the deer lick the lettuce?
Well, wait. Vegan is the ones that don't eat living things at all, right?
Well, okay, vegetarian.
Yeah.
Vegan don't eat meat. They won't have no meat, nothing that was made from meat. Like, they won't even wear leather shoes.
Right. But they won't eat, like, salad and that kind of shit, too, right? Am I thinking of the right thing, vegans?
I don't know.
No, vegans will eat salad.
Give me food of the sea and I'll be good.
Chicken of the sea.
Vegetarians will just eat vegetables. Vegans won't even eat fish or have anything that has no animal byproducts.
Yeah. So no milk, no
eggs,
God, no. None of that.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Sorry. Can't give up my shrimp.
Start liking grapes, bitch.
Can't give up my shrimp. But...
Well, I don't know how much longer this podcast is going to go, but if it ends in like 6 months to a year,
right. You know what happened.
Somebody had some tainted venison.
God damn. Yeah. God, that's scary.
So if anybody out there hunts, even if you're in an area where none of this has, at this moment, happened that you're aware of, get a hold of your wildlife commission or whatever they call it where you live.
Yeah, they can test.
Oh yeah,
you can test for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of states have
and
made regulations now because of this. Yeah.
And if you see anything that looks weird as it pertains to like animals and nature, if you're hunting or just out in the woods or whatever, call the proper authorities and get that shit handled right away.
Shoot it, burn it, end of story.
Don't walk up to it with your fucking camera phone and fucking try to make an Instagram story about the zombie deer that you found.
It's a deer in its natural habitat. We're gonna poke it with a stick. Shout out to Fluffy Guy.
Double pump.
Shout out to Fluffy Guy.
Yep.
Gabriel Iglesias for that joke, but still, come on now.
All right. Moving on.
Zombie deer. I admit, even I didn't see that coming.
One Giant Leap for Geeks proudly presents Talking With. This week we have a special returning guest, Chris Sanchez, Communication and Digital Media Manager at Mad Cave Studios, who was gracious enough to come back and join us today. We're glad to have you back on the show, Chris. Go ahead and tell the people who may not have heard the previous episode, talk a bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me back. Thanks for you guys for having me. It's a pleasure, actually. And yeah, Mad Cave Studios, we're an independent comic book publisher. And what I do is I run the social media channels. I do spots like this, just talk about our company and sort of get the word out there on how awesome and cool our books are, basically.
Awesome. Well, this should be fun. You're going to be our first returning guest, so this will have a little familiarity with you at least. Now, before we get started, you've played this little game before, but for those who may not have heard one of these, as you know, this is the internet, and everything on the internet is either the best thing or the worst thing ever. You're either in this camp or that camp. Everything is binary. There is no gray area. So we're going to put you into a box, so I've got some questions for you to place you into some of those boxes.
I'm a fan of boxes. Let's do it.
All right, first one, heavy metal or glam rock?
Probably more of a glam rock guy.
Okay. Who would you say is your favorite band?
In the glam rock genre or just in general?
Glam rock, specifically.
Oh, that is such a hard question. Oh, why are you doing this to me? Oh, no. I now have so many. I'm like freezing now.
Well, I guess who have you listened to the most recently? I guess.
You know what? Was Motley Crue a glam rock band?
Yeah, they're definitely not heavy metal. Yeah, they're definitely not heavy metal. So yeah, we can call that glam rock.
All right, I like Motley Crue. Motley Crue. They're good time.
Okay, fair enough. All right, next question: Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers?
You know what? I've turned, and I'm probably more of a Power Rangers guy now.
Really?
Yes, the Power Rangers comic from Boom is excellent. It is really good, and it's turned me into a fan.
Okay. See, I've never read any of the comics. I'm only familiar with them from the show, and only from like the mid 90s to like maybe the early 2000s. I think Power Rangers in Space was the last one I saw. I'm like, I think it's still an ongoing series, but I have no idea what they're doing.
I have no idea either. I watched it as a kid, but I was like just on. And I was definitely more of a Ninja Turtles guy. But now as like an adult, like I've read the comic, and they like what they do with comics is ridiculously good. So
okay. Plus, okay, so what? Now, bonus question: who would you say has the better theme song?
Probably Ninja Turtles. That's.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles has a pretty awesome theme song.
That's a pretty great theme song.
Though I will say that the guitar riff in the Power Rangers theme song is pretty awesome too.
I think it's more catchy. I don't think it's better.
Okay. Next question: vodka or tequila?
I'm probably I'm a vodka guy for sure.
Okay.
I'm a vodka guy.
Do you have a favorite?
Not really. Anything with like. No, I usually just have it with like orange juice or, just whatever.
Or I should say like a favorite, like a brand. Like if you go to a bar, do you just drink the Well vodka? Or
yeah, I just drink the Well. I'm not picky with the alcohol consumption.
He's like, I'm a simple man.
I'm a simple man with simple.
All right, and last question: Darth Vader or Khan?
It's really tough, but Darth Vader's probably he's a better villain.
Yeah, definitely more iconic for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Even though the ending scene of Star Trek 2 is phenomenal, but Darth Vader.
All right, fair enough. So now we will get into the actual topic at hand. The reason that we brought you back onto the show is because one of the things that we had talked about, because the last time you were on, we talked about Battle Cats, and this time, and during that conversation, you had mentioned and brought up Knights of the Golden Sun, but I think at that point it was just being released, because I'm pretty sure we talked about 6 months or so ago, give or take.
Yeah, about 6 months ago, it was probably like about to be in previews. Yeah, so it's still probably not even in previews, but yeah.
Okay. And you had kind of told us a little bit of the premise of the story, but before we get that far, tell me, what have you and the Mad Cave team been up to since we last spoke?
Yeah, so since we last spoke, we're just wrapping up with Midnight Task Force. and that we collected that into trade and released that. And then sort of since then, our big release was Knights of the Golden Sun, which that was in November-ish. And then since then, we went to New York Comic Con and it blew us out the water. Like this is actually a third time going, but was by far our biggest con. And we actually saw multiple people come up to us like, what's your books like this? And people who we've never met before, like actually know who we are. And it's really like what people know us, like this stuff, that, like we know people order our books and we know people, like say Midtown has our books and like Forbidden Planet has our books and all these amazing retailers across the country have our books. But it's a different be like, oh yeah, I saw you guys, I saw you guys at Midtown and, I wanted to come over here and, see what was new and stuff. And I was like, that's insane. What? And we had like special variants that all sold out. And we were like, what is life currently at the moment? And so when we released Knights of the Golden Sun, we saw like the fruits of that, and we saw that the release actually did well. But then later down the line of the release, it actually started getting picked up by the collector market, and it sort of blew up from there. And honestly, it's been like our biggest release so far.
Nice.
It's actually we're getting now from our order numbers are actually higher than our number 3s are higher than, or no, order number for number 3 is higher than our order number for number 1. And then the trends actually keep on going for number 4. And that doesn't happen. And it's wild that it's happening like to this series, totally like sure of the quality of it, but we didn't know how it would resonate with people. And now that we're seeing that, for people like this stuff, and it's always, we're sure of the quality of our books, and we're sure of like what we're saying, and sure of like definitely the craft that we're doing, but we don't know how that'll translate with the audience, and we're definitely not like seeing that in action is different than like, oh yeah, we know this is good.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, seeing people react to it is insane to us, and like seeing retailers react to this and be like, and we've gotten we've shipped out more orders of Knights in the past month than I think we shipped out in like the past year. It's insane. And yeah, retailers really responded well to it, and their readers are really responding well to it, and it's been a wild couple of months.
Well, excellent. That's good to hear. Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from, because I know, when you create something, and I think this goes for any medium, that, you can have the confidence to know that, you put your heart into it and you're doing it competently, and you're not just, rushing something out, and you actually put some TLC into it, but you never know how it's going to be received. And then when you finally do get an influx of people who are like, yeah, I really like your stuff, it's a good warm feeling, and it's surprising sometimes, because you're like, like you never know how people are going to react to stuff, because we talk a lot about movies and stuff on the podcast, and I feel bad sometimes when we kind of dog on stuff, because I'm like, I know there's a lot of people who put a lot of hard work into this and want it to be good. It just doesn't always turn out that way. So that's always the one scary part about when you create anything, is how are people going to respond to this?
No, and yeah, that's always the thing, where it's like, yeah, we might dog on a movie, but there's like hundreds of people that were in the cast and crew of that movie that either saw that it was like probably not gonna be so great, and they're just doing it, to make money, to make ends meet, or they were like actually really passionate about it.
Right.
But that doesn't, criticism. So criticism, as long as it's not like mean spirited.
Sure.
I don't see a problem with that. But yeah, like we've gotten definitely reviews of past work and Knights of the Golden Sun where they're on the negative side, but we always learn from those reviews and make our next issue or next series better in a way. Those are always the reviews that we actually continue to look at and be like, those, they all mean something, because it's like still everyone like actually reads our work, and you took the time out of your day, sometimes unpaid, to write about, our book that is entirely honoring to us. And we're like, well, that's, we don't devalue anyone's time, and we really respect that you do it. But especially so if you see that, oh yeah, there's this is good, but there's some things that could be better. Obviously, that person writes to do that, and that's awesome for us to hear, because that's what writing, that's what getting better, that's what learning, that's what life is going through those steps, getting told that might not work, and maybe you should think of something different, how it might work, and then learning from that and making the book better.
Yes, I agree. Okay, like I had said at the beginning of this, we had briefly talked about this title, Knights of the Golden Sun, before when you were on the previous time. Tell me, what is the story of Knights of the Golden Sun? Just kind of give us a refresher for people who may not have heard that episode.
Right. So the story of Knights of the Golden Sun, it's a biblical epic set during the period of the 400-year period between the Old Testament and the New. And basically our story is God has sort of disappeared and abandoned his throne. And how does that affect not only humanity, but sort of the angels that sort of protect humanity, and sort of how they are dealing with not having this looming presence over them, and sort of being like, who's there to guide them? And it's about Archangel Michael and his group of archangels, and how they set off to basically help humanity in any way they can, and especially from these fallen angels who have sort of come into humanity and sort of are trying to use that disappearance of God to sort of assert themselves into humanity and take over, more or less, and sort of sow discord. Mm-hmm. It's a good versus evil story about sort of good versus evil, and about sort of how humanity comes together in times of chaos.
What would you say to someone who may be interested in reading this story, but they aren't necessarily like a religious person, or really don't know much about stories of the Bible, like biblical tales and stuff like that? Like, what would you say to them to get them interested in this particular book?
Right, and that's something that we actually, from the beginning, set out to do, is not make this so much a religious story as it is just an angels versus demons story, or a good versus evil story. Because good versus evil is universal. It's an easy truth to get behind, and an easy story to make interesting. Everyone wants to see the good guys prevail over the bad guys, especially when one's Satan and one's Michael. What I say to that is that it's not a book that preaches at you. It's not a book that really, it uses these biblical stories, and they're more of like the mythos, sort of like everyone's heard of David and Goliath, even if they haven't really picked up a Bible or read it, they know the story. They know these myths and these things that sort of pervade our pulp culture. And so we play around with those. And it's a gorgeous looking book that has a lot of action and character moments, and it's more, I'd say it's closer to the Avengers than it is to the actual Bible. It's just sort of,
that's actually a good way to describe it.
Yeah, it's sort of treating these larger than life figures and finding these flaws and human moments in them, rather than portraying them as holier than thou divine beings. Right.
No, that's actually an excellent way to put it. I would say, from just my own perspective of reading it, that it definitely it plays with the whole Christian mythology per se, but like you said, it's not preachy. It's not a message book per se. It's like, think more in the vein of Lord of the Rings and less in the vein of something like Ben-Hur or something like that.
Yeah. And that is that's something we're honestly like not worried, but we're apprehensive about with the release of the book, and how audiences will relate, or how a non-religious person would view the book.
Right.
And so that was something that weighed on our mind a lot. But with the release, and certainly after, and seeing it sort of blow up on sort of different sites and sort of different the audience and sort of our orders and how they are, we saw that, oh wow, like this doesn't just resonate with people that are religious. It resonates to anybody that likes a good comic or that, loves these stories and seeing how these stories and how we play with them and how do we inject them with our own narrative.
Now, I've read through the first 3 issues of this so far, and I am really fascinated by the way the biblical story we know and this like fictionalized story is woven together. It plays a lot with, like I said, the world of these like Christian tales, but it's kind of like filling in these gaps and giving you like behind the scenes stuff of what was happening outside of the stories that we know traditionally in the Bible. And that was one of the things that kind of hooked me into it, was seeing the interactions between the different archangels and the fallen angels and man and the giants and different, things that were in these tales but weren't exactly expounded upon because the book wasn't necessarily about that per se. The book as in the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's how we approach the book. It's sort of taking these myths, taking this like 400 years, give or take, that separates these, these massive tomes that are hugely influential to to a vast majority of people, and sort of, creating a comic book that's, not preaching that it's like this biblical epic's tale, because there's that spark of like, oh, what did I, this was the thing. What did it happen? Why did this thing happen? And sort of, there's always the sort of spark there. It's sort of like mystery. It's like, oh, there could be something there. Well, the angels, maybe something happened with God. Maybe something. Why wasn't he there? And then we're sort of weaving our own tale from there. And these myths are obviously hugely important to the canon, and so we wanted to incorporate them in any way we could. So like David and Goliath, the King David bloodline is hugely influential, and seeing in issue 3 how it comes back on others, an entire bloodline and these entire myths, and how Azrael, sort of our main villain, is it's just playing around with history in her own sense. She's influencing it. And we're really excited on the things that are coming up.
Yeah, because I'm really interested to see how this plays out, because one of the questions, or one of the things that I should say I noticed about it, like as the story goes on, it's becoming more clear to me that this is a story about abandonment and finding your purpose in the world when the world that has drastically changed around you. And what does it mean to have a certain role that you felt that you were literally, in this case, created for, and what happens when you no longer have a purpose, like what that does to a person, and how they try and struggle with trying to stay on the path that they were created for, and kind of finding a path for themselves.
That is awesome that you got that. That's exactly what we were doing, and that's really what all of the angels deal with. But you see that mostly in like Uriel and sort of her sort of loss of faith and what's going on, and sort of her destructive nature now, and her wanting to like, how can I help when everything I've known is now just up in the air? This is like, how can I do this? And sort of it makes her decision sloppy, and it gives her this entirely new flawed characteristic when you don't think of these sort of greater beings as sort of flawed in a sense, but that's what they are when they're like you said, they lost their purpose. That when everyone loses what their purpose is in life, is just gone and up and disappeared, that changes you. That has to change you. And that's what the story is. It's all about these changes going on in these things as they lose themselves a bit, and find how close to humanity they really are.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the things that make these characters feel so human, is that, they, for lack of a better word, they have daddy issues. It's like, dad, went to go get a pack of cigarettes one day and never came back home. And it's like, what does that do to you? And it brings up a lot of good questions about, morality, and should we still even be charged with protecting the humans when, in their eyes, they're like, well, clearly, God doesn't even care, because, if he abandoned us and abandoned mankind, then why should we continue to fight to protect mankind at this point? And that's one of the things that really kind of hooked me into the story, because, all the mythological stuff is fun as well, but the thing that I really was able to sink my teeth into was the idea of a lot of the characters kind of being caught up between that juxtaposition of, should I continue to do this when the father doesn't care, or is this some kind of a test of our faith and loyalty, and all that kind of stuff I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, we see these stories as, there's this surface level story that's engaging and interesting and sort of action filled, but at the core of it is that abandonment, that loneliness, like that sense of loss, and how that affects you as a person, and how that changes you, and how it changes the people around you, and how you protect things that are still important to you. But are they still important to you, even if your purpose is gone? It's, we definitely play around with a lot of interesting ideas, and what we think is sort of this, simple good versus evil story. But there, we like to layer it in a little bit more complex, and it's a little more nuanced.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Now, I did want to ask you, Michael, the Archangel Michael, he is our main protagonist, it seems, through this. Now, it is definitely an ensemble book. I think everybody shares a little bit of the limelight, but I think for the most part, it's fair to say that Michael is the protagonist of the story. Mm-hmm. And we meet a lot of other archangels along the way, like you mentioned Uriel, Gabriel, Raphael, and then some of the fallen angels, obviously Lucifer, and then we have Azrael. Now, what was the choice, and kind of, because traditionally in a story like this, one would automatically assume that Lucifer is our main antagonist, but he is more, at least from where we are in the story so far, he seems to be more of a supporting antagonist, and Azrael seems to be our main antagonist. Tell me, what was the choice to not go with a traditional, the devil versus X, group?
Yeah, the good guys, yeah.
Right.
That was a choice we made, mostly because that depiction of Lucifer as just this sense of evil, just this ever-present evil, is sort of, I don't want to say boring, but it's like,
it's been done a lot.
It's been done a lot. We wanted to do it a little bit more complex than that, a little bit more like, oh, he's a little more gray. Mm-hmm. He was an angel before this, and he fell and sort of things, and there's still, at the end of the day, it's also a story about this sort of broken family, in a sense, because they're all brother, sister, this sort of familiarity that they have, and they can still talk to each other, but it's sort of like talking to sort of the broken down like cousin that you've never talked to.
Right.
Sort of fell out of the family.
Yeah,
and
it's like the redheaded stepchild of the angels. Yeah, sure.
Pretty much. And you go to him for help, and he might spit in your face. But that's in dire straits. That's someone you probably need in your corner, and sort of how does that work in this world that we've created, and in this sort of chaos that is being sown.
Yeah, because that was one of the things by the cliffhanger of the end of book one, the first issue, was the thing that shocked me about it was that there was another antagonist that comes in and kind of diffuses this whole situation between Michael and Lucifer, and at least for the moment seems to be even more powerful than Lucifer himself, which threw me off because, you know, like I said, in stories like this, you traditionally see like the devil is this all powerful, you know, thing, and, you know, the good light side is trying to fight against him, but there's other elements of the darkness that are just as powerful, if not even more powerful than him. And I thought that was really surprising to see that, because I am trying to tiptoe around it without spoiling it too much for anyone who hasn't read it at all. But when the moment comes, and, you know, it's like almost a ex machina moment where, you know, you think, okay, the hand of God has come and, you know, is breaking this whole thing up. It's actually another antagonist, and, you know, Azrael. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I did not expect that. Like, I was expecting God to intervene somehow, but it was another antagonist who has their own machinations that they are trying to forward in the story and manipulating these characters further.
Yeah, and sort of that was it. Like, Azrael is sort of for this first arc or so is this main antagonist, that she's the cunning, sort of the one pulling the strings and sort of making, you know, like you said, she has her plans and she is making sure they get done. She is that type of character and that type of antagonist where she doesn't bother to really like hold her plans off for anyone. She is going to get this done, and if that means sort of beating down on Michael and Lucifer, that's what it takes. And yeah, she's a sort of powerful being as well, but her most powerful strength is her cunning and sort of her just ability to not really care and get what she needs done.
Oh yeah. It's like, you know, if I gotta, you know, bitch slap the devil, you know, I'll do it to get shit done. You know, that's how I'll roll. Now, what would you say? What do you think makes this series different than other similar biblical inspired stories, like, say, for example, Spawn or Preacher or something like that?
Right. Well, off the bat, probably it does take place in sort of that biblical time, that sort of ancient Mesopotamia, sort of different era that's modern day, and it's usually those stories are, you know, they are about humans who sort of get this godly power,
right?
Or sort of are the angels are these side characters, or these different beings. Sort of they're about humans, and this one is about the angels and the fallen angels, and the humans are definitely a huge part of the story, and they're the reason for the story. But it's mostly about the inner conflict of these beings who are, you know, they're larger than life, but they still have their flaws, and they're sort of, there's things they're not good at, and there's
they have like self-doubt and vulnerabilities and stuff.
Yeah. That's what I would point to is this is a story about these, you know, these greater beings that are sort of taken to task and sort of have to look at themselves and be like, am I really, like, how am I better than this human farmer when I can't do I can't do my purpose of being here, you know? And that's where I would say it is definitely, our book is different.
Okay. Now, I mean, this, I guess, minor spoiler, but I mean, it's kind of like in the synopsis and kind of explaining what the story is about. But in the story, God has left his throne, and no one knows why at this point. Now, without spoiling how, per se, will we see God make an appearance in this story? Or is that revealing too much?
That's a little revealing, a little bit much.
Okay. Okay.
It's I'll the plan, by the end of this arc, which this is a 7-issue sort of arc, by the end of this arc, you see sort of the plan unfold.
Okay.
Of sort of what's actually going, like what is sort of to see the main causes and sort of like why this is happening.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Okay. So then now there are a few like unexpected alliances that are formed with different characters and factions throughout this. What can we expect to see from some of these relationships? Because there are antagonist groups who are linked together that I did not expect to see together. And then there are protagonist groups who are linked together who would traditionally not necessarily be working in tandem with each other. Like, what can we expect to see from these relationships?
Okay. I can give you a pretty good one for Knights of the Golden Sun number 4.
Okay.
Comes out next week. You're going to see like kind of the whole issue is sort of this one story. Mm-hmm. And it focuses in on Uriel and her story and also her story along with Lucifer.
Okay.
Yeah. So Knights of the Golden Sun, you're going to see of like that story come together and unfold and like how they like know it, like their past and how it influences them going forward.
Okay. All right. Now, we do a few hundred years time jump between issue 1 and issue 2 from the whole story of David and Goliath up until the present day where we are in the story after the whole collision between Michael and Lucifer. And I'm curious, how have these characters changed during that time? And when we meet them again, is their position the same as it was from when they were first put into their new roles? Because we find the characters, the status quo has changed for a lot of these characters. And has this been the same status quo for them during this whole time, or have we met them at a different point in their new roles in life?
Right. So when you see Raphael again, mm-hmm. He is definitely different. Mm-hmm. He is this. He's actually going to war with the humans and sort of not fighting in these different wars. And he has this person that he's protecting, and he's secluded himself off in this corner of the world, and that's not who he is. He's sort of this compassionate person. Gabrielle has sort of taken this de facto leadership role as Michael is gone, and sort of she took charge of like finding him. Uriel completely just lost her faith and sort of purpose, and just is trying to feel something. Mm-hmm. And it's in a sense, and her status quo significantly changes coming back, and even then in issue 4 it changes again of like her finding sort of like a little sense of who she was.
Yeah, but I think Uriel, out of all the characters so far, has probably been the most, I guess you could say, tested of everyone, because she seems to be the most, outside of the Fallen, obviously, she seems to be the most lacking in faith or wavering on her faith. And then there is a moment in issue 3 where she kind of calls upon, power from the Father, and it's not there. And I'm really interested to see what that further does to her mindset, because she's already kind of in a precarious situation where she's very self-destructive and lost, and in her moment of need, when she needed help, the Father wasn't there for her. So I'm really interested to see what that does to her as a character going forward.
Yeah, no, that was a big turning point in her story, and it'll continue to be sort of a impact point for her going forward.
Are there any hints or clues as to God's absence we've seen so far in the story, or is this a reveal that hasn't been teased at all?
there's a couple teasers that there is some foreshadowing and different things that we have just going from the first issue on.
Okay.
Can't really say anything,
that's fair.
but there are some things in there.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. I mean, that'll, I'm sure, be enough, breadcrumbs to get people, scouring through and trying to figure out, okay, what's happening? What, like, where is it? Like, what is this?
I get some messages. Days here and there where I get some, there's someone found some things.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there are some rules about the abilities and the Archangel's power and stuff that are established, and then they are a little bit broken. Are these like hard rules, or is it more something the characters kind of believe in but aren't actually infallible?
Yeah, no, those
because I guess without spoiling it specifically, there's a confrontation between Michael and another one of the Archangels, and there's something that happens at a point where something that should not have been possible happened. Is this more of because of their uncertainty with their position, or is it more tied into because of the father's absence?
A little bit of both. A little bit of sort of like when God's away, his kids can play.
Okay.
And sort of the rules in general,
mm-hmm.
Like of the world, have gotten looser.
Okay.
There's bending and there's breaking in certain points of certain things that shouldn't happen are happening, like the giants sort of like crusading around town. Like that shouldn't happen, but it is happening. So
mm-hmm.
why is this like rules that were in place not working? So yeah, there's that, and there's certain like a sense of like these powers are tied to their sort of like who they are, and if they lose a little bit of who they are, then the thing there that might not be there.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I mean, in general, I've really enjoyed this story so far, and I'm really excited to see how this continues on going forward. And I think people who, like we said at the beginning, even if you're not necessarily a biblical scholar or a religious person or something like that, I think there's enough here in this that anybody can pick this up and get something out of it. And I really feel that you guys have done a good job of humanizing characters who aren't human and who are larger than life, but still giving them personal tragedies and the interrelationships between everybody enough weight to where you care about these characters and you feel bad for them when they fail, and you are rooting for them to find their purpose again or win in whatever scenarios they're in. So I honestly feel like if you are even passively interested in mythological stories or stories of good and evil or anything like that, sword and sorcery, I mean, it kind of has a little bit of everything. I mean, even with the giants, I mean, there's a moment where it even felt like Attack on Titan for a moment, and I was like, there's a lot of stuff sprinkled in here that I think that anybody can pick this title up and start reading it and enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, we made it that point. Like, our books are, at first and foremost, we think they're like these fun, engaging action stories on the surface that anyone can sort of cling on to and be like, okay, if I'm just like reading this on the surface, like, yeah, there's some good fights, there's action, there's this compelling sort of mysteries in the core of these. But there, if you look a little deeper at the characters and sort of what we're doing and what we're playing with, you'll see that there is a more complex, narrative going on, especially in these and what these characters are going through and sort of what they're dealing with and how they see themselves in the world around them. And I feel like that's something that sparks a lot of people's interest and sort of catches them and hooks them and gets them to care about these characters that, you know, you've heard the name Michael, you've heard the name Elizabeth, but like why, like what makes this different, or why do I care about this version of him?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we do a really good job of like portraying their humanity in a sense, but still highlighting that they're not human. But even so, they're not human. They're reflections of humanity, and we have flaws and they have flaws, and it's something to be like, okay, this is the sort of the personification of good, but even then they don't always make the right choices. And that's something that I feel is very special about the book, and what gets people to, you know, obviously reflects on the audience's consumption of the book and how it's doing so well. And I couldn't be more proud of it.
Yeah, no. Good. So yeah, definitely, you know, if you haven't yet, go check out Knights of the Golden Sun. It's a really good book or series, and I think that, you know, after you get through that first issue, you will definitely be hooked, and I really think you'll enjoy it. But before we go, Chris, tell the listeners, where can they get your books?
You can get our books at your local comic shop. They might not have it if they didn't pre-order, but you can go over there right now, pre-order Knights of the Golden Sun number 6. Also, soon, we're probably going to start up our own online store, so you can buy our books at mycavestudios.com. But even then, there's some online sort of stores that still have our books. And even then, if you're sort of still, you know, you don't want to go all the way back to number 1, we will have a trade available after we release number 7.
Excellent.
So that would, we will have a trade after that. So in the next couple of months, we will have a trade available with all 7 issues of the first arc that you can get. And yeah, you know, just local comic shops. We always stress that local comic shops really need the support, and especially indies and local comic shops, they, you know, talk to them, see what you can do. Also, or if you're like not close to one, you can always get them on Comixology, get them online, and yeah.
Excellent. And also, is there anything else that you want the listeners to know about? Any upcoming titles or anything that you want to talk about before we went?
Right, yeah, no, we have a new series out this month, February 27th. We have Honor and Curse, which is our sort of supernatural shinobi story. And yeah, that's the first issue of that drops this month, and we're super excited to get that out in the world and seeing what everyone thinks. We think it's probably my personal favorite book that we've released, and it's definitely. The coloring is great. The action set pieces are great. There's some more romance than we've ever done in our books so far, and that's really sweet. Okay. Yeah. It's sort of this revenge story, but still supernatural, and has this forbidden love thing. It's really, really awesome. And next month in previews is Battle Cats Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
So you can pre-order that, and that comes out in May.
Mm-hmm.
So the first issue of Battle Cats Volume 2 is coming as well, and we have a new series artist on that, and he is killer, really killer, and can't wait. But yeah, you can find out all the information on MatCaveStudios.com. There's some preview pages up, and yeah, you know.
Well, I want to thank you again for coming back, Chris, and you are more than welcome to come back on the show. I really enjoy having these conversations with you. I think you guys make really quality work, and I enjoy reading your stuff. So I really appreciate you guys reaching out in the first place and being willing to come back again.
I mean, for sure. I mean, I'm definitely going to come back. This was an awesome talk, and like what you said about Knights was extremely illuminating, and Yeah, this was awesome, and you'll definitely be hearing from me again.
Well, I want to thank our guests for joining us, and I would like to thank you for sitting in on another edition of Talking With. That is it for the show. Remember, you can always find us at our home, onegiantleapforgeeks.libsyn.com, or we are on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, or anywhere else you get your podcast. Now, make sure to show us some love, so go ahead and click that like, subscribe, rate, follow, review, all that shit.
And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, criticisms, or you just want to say hi, you can always email us at officialogolfc@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter as a show at Giant Leap 4 Geeks, and on Facebook, Reddit, Instagram. I think that's all of them. All you have to search for is One Giant Leap for Geeks. If you'd like to find me, DJ Mellymill, I am at Froggy Beaver on Twitter, and our resident Benwah is at Benwah Gaming. That's BENWAH. That is also on Twitter. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye.
You have a stroke at the end.
Yeah.